The Amazon forest. A place of beauty and death. Where every shadow hides a predator. Where every step could be your last. Imagine being only 12 years old, your little sister clinging to you. And all around you, glowing eyes in the darkness. Hunters want you dead. The villagers despise you. And now, the jungle itself has turned against you. This is Chico and Luna's fight for survival. And what happens next will haunt you. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of their terrifying story. The glowing eyes did not blink. Chico gripped Luna's hand so tightly her fingers turned cold. They stood frozen in the mud, their breaths ragged, their tiny bodies trembling. Behind them, the hunters' screams had already been silenced. Only the wet sound of tearing flesh lingered in the air. Luna whispered, her voice barely a thread, "Chico. What is that?" He didn't answer. He didn't know. But the growls were getting closer. Branches cracked. The leaves shook. And from the shadows, something vast began to emerge. While Chico and Luna stood trembling in the forest. Far from them, the village was alive with whispers. Inside a dim hut, a group of men and women sat in a circle around a fire. Their faces were twisted with suspicion, fear, and hatred. They survived the hunters again. Every time, the forest should have swallowed them, yet they return. "They are cursed," another hissed, her eyes sharp as knives. "Children of death. Ever since their parents died, nothing grows right. The river runs dry, the animals grow restless. The jungle itself rebels because of them." A tall man stood, his shadow flickering across the fire-lit walls. "They're not just cursed, they're dangerous. A boy who fights off grown men with his bare hands? A girl who walks unharmed when others vanish? No, this is not natural." Murmurs rose. Some nodded. Some crossed themselves against evil. "They must not see another sunrise," the tall man declared. "We will track them. We will corner them. And when the sun rises tomorrow, the forest will find their bones." The fire crackled, throwing sparks into the night. But no one noticed that just beyond the hut, in the dark corner of the village, an old woman sat listening. Her eyes were clouded with age, yet sharp with secrets. And under her breath, she whispered, "They think they're hunting children. But the forest is hunting them all." The village square burned with torchlights. Men sharpened blades against stones. Sparks flying into the dirt. Women tied ropes, wove nets, and whispered curses as they worked. The children slept in hammocks, unaware of the darkness gathering in their parents' eyes. One man, scarred from forehead to jaw, held up a jagged spear. "Tomorrow, the jungle will choke on their cries," he said. His voice dripped with venom. Others cheered, banging sticks and blades together like drums of war. But their hatred was not enough. They wanted more. So they called for her. The witch of the village. She came shuffling forward, her skin wrinkled like bark, her teeth blackened, her hands clutching a bundle of bones tied with red string. "They are not children," she rasped. "They are shadows walking in flesh. To kill them, you must first bind their spirits." From the bundle, she scattered bones into the fire. Flames leapt high, turning green for a moment before dimming to a dark, sickly hue. Gasps filled the air. The witch's voice cracked like dry wood. "The boy's heart is stubborn. Strike him through the ribs. The girl's spirit is hidden. Snare her legs, bind her tongue, or she will curse you." The crowd shuddered but listened, their fear bending into rage. By the time the fire died low, spears, bows, and nets were ready. Men painted their faces with ash. Women marked their arms with lines of red clay. The hunt was no longer for food. It was for blood. And above them all, the witch grinned into the smoke. Her voice, almost swallowed by the crackle of embers, whispered, "Kill them. Or the forest will kill us all." Dawn crept slowly across the Amazon, staining the mist in hues of red and gold. But in the village, no one admired the sunrise. Dozens of feet trampled the damp earth as the hunters gathered at the edge of the forest. Spears gleamed with sharpened tips, bows curved with fresh string, nets draped across broad shoulders. Children peeked from doorways, their wide eyes following the armed crowd in silence. The scarred man led the way, his face smeared with ash and clay, his voice sharp as stone. "Today, we end the curse." Behind him shuffled the witch. Her bundle of bones rattled with each step. She muttered under her breath, words not meant for mortal ears. At her side, two men carried a clay jar filled with black liquid. The witch had called it forest's blood. She claimed it would mask their scent, keep the spirits from warning the children. One by one, the hunters dipped their fingers into the jar, smearing the tar-like substance across their chests and foreheads. The smell was bitter, burning the air. "The jungle will not see us," the witch croaked. "The shadows will not touch us. Only the cursed ones will fall." The scarred man lifted his spear high. The hunters roared as one, their voices cutting through the morning mist. Then, with the witch trailing like a shadow, they marched into the trees. Leaves shivered. Birds scattered. The forest grew silent at their arrival. Step by step, the villagers vanished into the thick green. The hunt had begun. But far above, hidden in the canopy, unseen eyes tracked their every move. And deep within the forest, the silence trembled. As if the jungle itself knew blood would spill before nightfall. The villagers pushed deeper into the Amazon, their torches spitting smoke, their feet sinking into the damp soil. At first, the path was clear. Birds scattered. Branches snapped. But then, the forest began to shift. A hunter lifted his spear, only to find vines had wrapped around the shaft when he wasn't looking. Another stepped into a shallow puddle, and his legs sank deeper, the mud sucking him down like hungry jaws. "Don't stop," the scarred man barked. But his own torch sputtered and hissed as if smothered by unseen hands. The witch shuffled behind them, her eyes narrow, her muttering louder. "Do not fear the tricks. The forest resists, but our will is stronger." Yet even her voice trembled. The hunters moved on, but the jungle whispered at their heels. Leaves rustled though no wind blew. Shadows shifted though the sun still shone. Once, a hunter swore he felt a hand brush across his shoulder. When he turned, no one was there. And then, screams. At the rear of the group, two men vanished. One moment they walked, the next they were gone, dragged into the foliage by something unseen. The others spun around, weapons raised. But all they saw was swaying leaves, wet earth, and blood smearing the roots of a tree. Fear rippled through them. Some whispered of spirits. Others muttered of beasts. But the scarred man snarled, pointing his spear ahead. "Don't look back. The children are close. That's what the forest is hiding." The witch's voice slithered over the silence. "Closer than you think." The villagers pushed through the choking vines, their breath ragged, their numbers already thinned. The forest had claimed some, but their fury drove them on. The scarred man raised his hand. "Quiet." The hunters froze. Ahead, in the thinning mist, faint footprints pressed into the damp earth, small, bare feet. Children's feet. Luna's. Chico's. The scarred man's lips curled into a cruel grin. "They're close. They crept forward, following the trail, hearts pounding with the promise of blood. And then, a sound. A faint snap of wood. A trap. A spear shot from the undergrowth, skewering one hunter through the chest. He collapsed with a strangled scream. Panic erupted. But before they could recover, more traps triggered. Spiked pits yawned open. Stones swung from vines. Sharp sticks lashed from hidden springs. The villagers fought the forest itself. And Chico's cunning. But in the chaos, two small figures appeared on the ridge above. Chico. Luna. The boy's face was streaked with dirt and sweat, his sharpened stick gripped tight. Luna clung to his side, her torn dress fluttering in the wind. For a heartbeat, silence ruled. The hunters, battered and bloodied, glared up at the siblings. And Chico's sharp brown eyes glared back, fearless, unyielding. The scarred man's voice tore through the stillness. "There! Kill them both!" The hunters roared, charging forward. Chico pulled Luna behind him, his voice low but steady. "Run when I tell you." The villagers surged. The jungle screamed. And just as the first spear flew, the forest lights flickered back to life. Dozens of glowing eyes blazed from the shadows. The hunters faltered, their war cries breaking into horror. But the spear was already in the air, cutting toward Chico and Luna. The children are trapped between the fury of men and the hunger of the forest. Who will strike first? Subscribe now, because episode 3 will drag you into the heart of the nightmare.